Hi guys, and welcome to the first video about the first article, Pain and Pleasure. Thank you for your questions. I think we should just dive right into it. And the first question is, so is all pleasure then a bad thing? What about playing board games with your friends, having sex with my spouse, watching TV, etc.? Well, yes and no, I think would be the answer for that. So, like I have drawn the line basically with saying if if there is some social interaction and I get some social benefit out of it, like being with my friends or my family, then that is some good pleasure that you can basically engage in without any pain. So playing board games or having sex or like having a nice dinner or going out to eat, etc. Um, there are still some limitations around those things, basically meaning um, I'm not going out to eat every day because that would hurt my sleep schedule and it would also hurt my bank account. I'm not seeing friends every day to play board games late into the night because that would also hurt my sleep schedule and I wouldn't get a lot of other things in my life done that I would like to do. So in moderation, you can definitely do those things, and I think that's a lot about that's a lot what life is about. Is to spend those pleasureful and meaningful and rememberable moments with friends and family. So by all means, it's not like you should try to minimize that or avoid it. Just be aware. Are you doing it too much? Is it something that is transforming into pain? Spending an evening with all your greater family and having a nice dinner and everybody around the table just smiling and laughing and having fun, celebrating someone's birthday, stuff like that. I mean, why would that translate into pain? There can be elements within that that could do that, right? So if you hit the bottle too hard, then you're not going to be able to perform the next day. So, or if you indulge too much, like you eat too much food on the birthday, or there's too much cake or candy, etc., right? So there can still be elements within something meaningful and pleasurable that you could then maybe dial back a little bit. So it's just about basically being aware what things could potentially transform into pain, and yeah, just making a conscious decision about like, do I want that or don't I want that? So that's where I draw a line. And for your three examples, like playing board games and or having sex or watching TV, I think it's a sneaky trick. So two of those definitely I would not define as bad pleasures, so to say. But one of them, like watching TV, I think you have to be very intentional about what you're doing and why. So, why are you watching TV and what are you watching? What do you want from it? Yesterday, I watched some TV with my two daughters, and we watched a nice nature show. Um, and it was just a really fun time just to hang out with them for 40 minutes. They were really tired, they really wanted to see TV. So we watched some nice nature documentary together, and that was a beautiful moment. And it's not something that is transforming into pain. So for sure you can watch TV, but doing it every night, staying up to date with all the TV series and all the shows, then in my book, for me personally, that's overdoing it. I want to do something else than spending 1 to 3 hours on average a day watching TV. Yeah, I think I hope that answered your question. Um, Next question: is this just a mental trick I play on myself? Again, yes, but mostly no. Um, so I can see why you would assume that this is a mental trick. So I'm just tricking myself into doing all the painful things because I know that then I don't feel the pain and then it will become pleasurable. Um, I definitely see the interpretation, and I think it's a good question, and I think it's nice to clarify that. Um, I I don't see it as a mental trick. because I sincerely believe that this non-dual relationship or transformative relationship between pain and pleasure is actually fundamentally true. So because it's true in the real world and in real life, I am basically being forced to choose. Do you want the actual pain or the transformative pain? And of course, I'm choosing the transformative pain because I know that's going to turn into something good, where the actual pain is something that's going to stay with me. That meaning coming from engaging in two pleasurable things. Um, yeah. So because I believe that it's true that I have to make that choice, I am then, I would say, 99 out of 100 times, I am now, whereas before I wasn't, but I am now aware of that choice, and I am therefore now also choosing, based on this truth, based on this realization, I'm choosing the transformative pain. So I do clean my room, I do clean the kitchen, I do vacuum, I do get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, I do my cold showers. Like I do all these hard, effortful things. I do write on Substack. I do record these videos, not because I always am super motivated to do it, but because I want to do it long term. I want to become better at it. I want to engage in it. And I might not, at the moment where I'm setting up everything, making ready for this recording, be thinking that I'm so full of energy today. Today is the perfect day to do it. I'm so in the mood. I'm so motivated. To be honest, I'm not feeling that. Like I have a sinus infection, and apologize for the very stoppy my very stoppy voice. But yeah, so I'm not like feeling super great, but I'm doing it because I want to do it, because I can basically choose not to do it like I intended to, or and then do something else, or I can do it and then be happy about I've done it and put it out and see what you guys think, and hopefully help you and inspire you. And of course, I want to answer your questions. It's just that when you are a little bit sick, like I am now, and you have a sinus infection, you might be feeling more like lying in bed. But I can do it. I just feel kind of shitty in my body, like low energy. So yeah, I'm forcing myself to do it, and I'm happy I'm doing it. Um, so yeah, I can definitely see why you would think it's a mental trick, and if you do think it's a mental trick, it will never work. I've tried a lot of these things before where I felt it was mental tricks to do ice showers every morning, or to do 2 hour meditations every day, or have like a 4 hour long morning routine where I had to do incandescent or incense, and I had to do like a long list of all these things that all these millionaires and successful people were doing, and then I just had to do that routine, and then magic would happen, and it would also be great for me. But everything just crumbled after a while. Um, Actually, I recently on my computer found a blog post I wrote in 2015, so that's 8 years ago. And I just want to read a little bit from that, just to show you how my previous approach was sort of basically going in the same direction, but just with a completely different vehicle. Here it is. So it's from October 2015. So it's 7.5 years ago. So I'm just gonna read like the first paragraph. I fell off the wagon. I admit it. I fucked up. 83 days straight of planning every day and going strong on my 30-day challenge. I slowly lost momentum, and one day I did not feel like doing it anymore. Fuck it. I'm done. The day after, I felt ill, like the flu was taking over. Sore skin and muscles, tired and lazy. On day 2, apathy set in. About everything. My job, the blog, my personal goals. After all, I no longer had my perfect sorry. After all, I no longer had my perfect streak of completing my daily routines. I did not plan my day, nor did I meditate. I more or less wasted the entire day. Right. So basically, from what you can hear here, I was doing all these routines, and I had this perfect streak. I was doing I was doing it every morning for 84 days straight. That's almost 3 months. Um, and then I think what happened is that I basically got sick, and then I didn't do it one day. But the problem with having a routine that you're doing because of the routine or because of the end result it will bring you, and the problem of having a foundation of a perfect streak is that so much of your identity and so much of your sense of accomplishment is now lying on this single narrow thing that is your perfect streak. So when you don't want to do it anymore or you feel bad, if you or something happens where you get sick or you're at this amazing event and then you cannot do your morning routine, then you you fall out of the habit. And if you don't immediately get back up on it, you're basically, even if you do, right? So two things will happen: either you get immediately get back up on it, and that's probably both the easiest and the hardest things to do. So because if you get immediately back on, it's the best thing to do because you will still have some momentum and you can hopefully keep the trajectory going, but you will still be thinking in your mind, I had 84 days before, now I'm back to day 1, right? And you need to wait 83 days until you're back where you were with your streak. And that's such a major Achilles heel of that approach. If you then don't get back on, you'll lose your momentum, and then you will also slowly start to be thinking to yourself, okay, like I did in this scenario, okay, I fucked up, so now I'm off the streak. And if you don't get back on it, now you're 2 days off, then what's the point, really? And then you're 3 days off, and then it can all just be like, it doesn't matter. Like, I might just stop it, drop it completely. And I'm sure a lot of you feel this way about like any habit you want to change or form in your life. And the next article will actually be about this very thing, which I like to call the habit hoax. Um, so a small little teaser for that. But if you, if, yeah, you will definitely, all of you, I think, that are seeing this or reading the Pain and Pleasure article will definitely have tried this, where you basically have a good streak going with diet or exercise or whatever it is you want to do, and then you relapse. And then you just basically feel like you have made this nice dinner and you drop the entire plate on the floor, and now you have to start all over peeling onions and cooking up something new. Um, and you have to clean the floor. So, what am I getting at here? I'm getting at, my point is that if you want to make a change, if you want to keep on doing that change, what I realized is that pain and pleasure is basically a realization for me to overcome the voice saying I don't feel like doing it, or it doesn't matter, because it does matter, right? And basically it's much easier for me to make the choice of go through the uncomfortableness, because that's the only way to success. And there is a bigger and more fundamental truth to this realization that I realize I have not really written about in the article, but I think it's sort of like a meta truth, and I think it's something underlining the entire Substack and all the articles I will write. So I will probably write something specifically about this, um, and it's the fact that if you need to change something, if you need to go through a transformation, you first have to decide what it is you want to change, but you need to anchor this in who you are. You need to change who you are. You need to decide who you want to be, and you need to realize certain truths certain dynamics, certain principles, and those need to be like pile driven, anchored deeply inside and deep down of who you are, what your personality is, deep inside your value system and your beliefs. Like that is the core you need to get to, because you can never stop drinking if you still think of yourself as an alcoholic. But you can also not stop drinking if you call yourself, if you don't call yourself an alcoholic. You might be it, right? So you're in denial. Um, so you need to decide, like, I am not a person that is engaging in X behavior. Like that's the first step. And then you need to anchor that deep inside of who you are. And for me, like you can see even David Goggins is doing this, right? And his sort of frame of mind, the way I interpret it, is that he's saying to himself when it really hurts on mile 100, who's the greediest mother alive, right? And he has to prove to himself that if he thinks that he is that, he has to also prove to himself that he actually is that, right? And it's so deeply anchored in him, in his personality, like that he is a tough MF. He is tough, tough AF, right? And he believes that, and that is why he's using that to go places the rest of us ordinary people cannot go or will not go or have not gone yet. Um, yeah. So and for me, like it was basically like my realization was basically I'm just an ordinary person, but I have these extraordinary wants and desires and dreams. Like I want these extraordinary things for me in my life and for my family. And yeah, so if I want that, then I have to change my actions. They also have to slowly become extraordinary. Not all of them all at once, but I need to then start to work towards that. Otherwise, I need to kill my extraordinary desires. So that's one. And then the other is this basic fundamental principle that I was seeking comfort too much and trying to avoid pain too much. And it was basically like a prison for me, that I wanted to go, I wanted to escape the island, but I didn't want to become wet because then I might become cold. And that was uncomfortable. So I had to realize that no, I need to make water my element. I need to be okay with being wet. I need to be okay with being cold, and I need to believe that I can swim across to the other side. But and I need to make water my element, and that is slowly happening. Like I'm slowly understanding the intrinsic pleasure that is actually embedded inside of painful effort. And Andrew Huberman also talked about this, and his explanation is that most of that is actually testosterone driven. So testosterone is basically like a like a signal saying that if you are engaging in really effortful hard work, testosterone will make that seem almost like a bit nice. Like it's the same for those of us who like spicy food, that it hurts and it's hot and it's unpleasant, but it's also a little bit pleasant, right? And you need to get to that. I believe you need to get to that if you then want to do the extraordinary thing. And if you don't want to do that, then that's fine. Um, what are you doing here then? But yeah, okay. So that was a very long answer to the second question. Right. Next question. Third question. So is there essentially good pain, good pleasure, and bad pain, bad pleasure? Yes, that is completely correct. I think it's a nice way of framing it as well. Um, the way I've written it is more like coming from this binary perspective, but you can definitely divide it into like good pain and good pleasure. So, good pleasure could be that you spend time with friends and family. Um, good pain could be the pain from working out really, really hard until you like literally puke in a bucket. And then that will give you the pain of being more fit, healthier. Your nervous system will adapt, your muscular system will adapt, you will feel better, you will get endorphins, adrenaline, all these things. Bad pain, that's obvious, right? You take a hammer and you slam yourself in the face. Like, it's obviously stupid. It's not gonna transform into good pleasure. Um, and I think actually that distinction is very important because it's not something I mentioned. Like, I mentioned it briefly in the article, but yeah, don't like go out and just do extremely painful things and then expect that they will transform into good things. Like, it has to be like, be smart about the your pain basically. So yeah, that's definitely bad pain. And then the last one, bad pleasure. Um, I think bad pleasure is a lot of the comfortable things that we engage in on too much in the Western world on a daily basis. So um, it's always warm inside our homes. We're never freezing. We're never hungry. Um, we're never we never have a high heart rate. We eat too much. Like all these, like 21st century uh, comfortable things. We're basically sedentary, eating ourselves to death and complaining about everybody else and not really doing anything. Question 4. Why is this not true? You seem so certain that this is a universal absolute truth. Well, it's a good question. So if I had to steelman the argument, it would basically be it could basically be that the concept is maybe too simple to grasp the actual reality of what is going on. So it might be, and it might not be pain and pleasure. It could also be like adjacent concepts. So it could also be effort and happiness. So if you expel effort and if you do really effortful things, or if you really apply yourself, or if you really like, you could have these adjacent sort of concepts instead of pain. And then pleasure might be a bit like vague and a bit too fleeting and a bit like happiness or success, or yeah, that has more weight, right? So you might be able to twist and develop the concept a little bit to make it more nuanced and to capture more of the sort of universal truth of it. So that's one Steelman argument. And then, of course, the question is, why didn't you do that? And I think why I haven't done that is because I think, for me, the primary problem in my life was, and I think also in the Western world, the primary problem or challenge is that we are too comfortable and we are avoiding pain way too much. Like, it's becoming our entire compass is to, yeah, like I said, never be cold, never be hungry, like, yeah, always be comfortable, like have the right clothes and always be entertained and never be bored and all these things. So building up the argument around that fact, I think, made it more relevant and made it simpler to understand and relate to. I hope so. So that's why I did that. All right, guys, that was all the question we had time for this time. So thank you so much for engaging and watching. Please continue to post comments or write me questions on my email, and looking forward to discussing the next article. Have a good one.